last one. 2000s infomercials were peak television.
In 1949, this guy put a bunch of food into a blender on TV for 30 minutes straight. Really,
30
it was
minutes
just
of him
a
just
half
blending.
hour of blending random stuff.
I'm going to put in this wonderful carrot, raisins, peanuts, a little pineapple juice, 1 pint of celery juice. There's the seed, the skin of the potato. Mother. So we're going to crack this egg. So throw in the shell and all. Ah, delicious.
Old W.G. Bernard here wasn't just blending things for fun, though. This was the very first filmed-for-TV infomercial, combining the words information and commercial to make an exhaustively informative advertisement. Early infomercials popularized the premise of pitchmen, who try their best to sell things with convincing promises and slogans, like the classic, "But wait, there's more," or implying that if you don't use their blenders, you will fail at life and/or simply pass away.
You're a miserable failure. You'll lose your job, you'll lose your income, and you'll lose your life.
Basically, pitchmen just yap at you until you cave and buy something. But weirdly, this strategy worked, and infomercials have stuck around ever since the 40s. Over the years, the format has evolved into a dedicated as-seen-on-TV genre with a typical style, featuring a novelty product that's named something like Perfect This or Magic That, and going on about how it'll change your life or fix some problem you didn't even know you had.
Boiled eggs, too hard. Eggs, pot of water. What a mess. This, boiled eggs, perfect. Eggs, egg salad. But wait, also eggs, egg genie. Ordered now.
The 80s and 90s delivered some of the most well-known infomercial products out there, like the Clapper, the George Foreman Grill, or the Chia Pet. And Watch Mojo or BuzzFeed or any other listicle maker out there love to mention these same products over and over because, sure, they are iconic. But you know what's often missing from these iconic, super epicest infomercials of all time lists? 2000s infomercials. Yeah, everyone loves the little Chia Pet jingle, but you're gonna sit here and tell me that Shirley Temple singing "Animal crackers in my soup" isn't a pillar of American pop culture? Most people probably have never even seen a Shirley Temple production, but they have seen the infomercial for her DVD box set that was aired incessantly. The mid to late 2000s revamped the entire genre with new quirks and conventions that made it kind of entertaining to be advertised to. Especially at 3 in the morning, when between episodes of George Lopez on Nick at Night, you could watch oiled up men vigorously use a shake weight, or an old guy pee into a golf club.
When you really have to go, it appears to everyone that you're just checking out your club. At first it seems comical.
I thought this was a family channel. The products got wackier, the pitches got more intense, and the black and white rage bait footage of idiots failing very simple tasks was more exaggerated than ever. It was fun. The ads also got shorter, choppier, and appealed to urgency. 30 seconds instead of 30 minutes. There's no time for some guy to stand around improving about his blender anymore. Someone has fallen and they can't get up. Blending lots and lots of fruits? Who cares? Now it's lots and lots of jets and planes, and you gotta call now. Even when you weren't watching TV, you could get even more infomercial content on YouTube, which was ripe with parodies. The format was just so silly and easy to imitate and resulted in some of the earliest viral videos. I don't know about you guys, but Ryan Higa, especially Big Bouncing Inflatable Green Ball and How to Be Ninja, genuinely changed my brain chemistry. I don't say that lightly. It's not just that I'm nostalgic, even though I very clearly am. The 2008 financial crisis led to stations airing more infomercials because it was cheaper, especially in the US, which led to more infomercials being produced than ever before. It was literally the era of infomercials. Since there were so many, it's impossible to mention them all, but I'd like to make an iconic super epicest infomercials of all time list of my own. To touch on some of the classics,
Alright, let's
the
see what you got
undermentioned
here.
bangers, and the pitchmen at the forefront of it all. I was a kid throughout the 2000s and mainly watched children's or family-friendly channels, so a lot of the infomercials that take up space in my brain are ads for toys. And starting off strong, what's cooler than a toy that defies gravity?
Are you ready to catch one of the hottest toys in America?
What the
Introducing the incredible Hover Disc. This gravity-defying
Disc.
saucer is so
That's
cool.
kinda cool,
You've
though,
never seen
actually.
anything fly like a Hover Disc.
The Hover Disc was touted as a flying, hovering, gravity-defying disc of the future. And the fun doesn't stop there. One of my favorite parts of any infomercial is when they start listing random words or situations to make it seem like their product has tons of uses beyond its basic function. With the Hover Disc, for example, you can invent tricks, bounce it, bank it, fly it, push it, toss it, tap it. Sure, half of those are synonyms, but that doesn't mean they're lying. They are definitely stretching the truth when it comes to the defying gravity claim, though. As a kid, I really thought that this was some magic and or futuristic toy that would fly around on its own, but there's clear text on screen that mentions you need to fill the thing with helium, which does all of the work. Despite all its claims, it seems all the Hover Disc really did was sort of float and take a bit longer to reach the ground than, say, a normal frisbee. It doesn't seem all that different from the sad, half-deflated helium balloon you'd keep from your birthday party and refuse to throw away, just more conveniently disc-shaped and overpriced. But I can't be too adult-minded and cynical about it. It does still look like it'd be really fun to play with, so I'm willing to let the whole lying about the flying thing slide. Speaking of lying, though, I learned a hard lesson in don't believe everything you see on TV through a different infomercial for a little toy called Squirmels. I say little because look at him, he is little. Just a small guy with fur and eyes and feelings. He's a performer. He's amazing. He's your furry little friend. Wrong. Squirmel is none of those things. Squirmel is a lie. The whole premise of this worm is that it's a crazy little critter that moves around, wiggles, jumps, flips, and does any other trick
Wormels?
like
That's a weird
magic.
name, though.
It's literally called the magical pet. Okay, this wasn't just my young naivety blinding me to the truth. So imagine my
got a
dismay,
cool
my
concept, though.
utter shock
I like the
when I see
concept.
the as seen on TV magic worm at the store excitedly open its package and come face to face with a limp and lifeless worm with a string attached to its nose. At no point do they mention in this ad or anywhere on its packaging that it's not magic and will not move on its own unless you use sleight of hand to pull it by its invisible string. And by visible, of course, I mean completely visible. Especially if you're 9 years old, have no idea what you're doing, and are wrought with betrayal. The only thing that alludes to it not working as magically as advertised is the few times they mention learning the secret to Squirmels.
It does awesome magic. How it works is secret, and nope, it's not static.
I just thought they meant like you gotta learn how to wrangle them. I didn't think it was an actual secret, and that the secret was that it's all a lie. I know it sounds dumb that I expected it to be alive or something, but I thought it might be like a sea monkeys thing where it'll come to life after you activate it, or it was just a toy but it was battery operated or something other than string, but Big Squirmel got me, I guess. I'm playing it up a little, but this actually still frustrates me so much. It also doesn't help that these things have come to colloquially be called worm on a string in recent years as if just to taunt me. I can't be the only kid they tricked though. Please, if you or a loved one have been affected by Squirmel trauma, just let me know that I'm not alone. And speaking of lying, again, kinda. Another infomercial toy claimed to float and defy gravity, but this time, instead of being disc-shaped, it was ball-shaped, because it was a ball, and that's it.
It's here. It's wild. It's sweeping the nation. It's Fushigi!
Fushigi was a toy that came on strong and made a lot of bold claims. In addition to defying gravity and floating, it also levitates, gotta love those synonyms, and confuses the senses with its mind-blowing movements with no strings and no tricks. unlike another toy I know. They also imply that it's magic,
The magic gravity ball. Magic? Maybe.
but then backtrack like 10
Magic
seconds
gravity
later
ball.
And you don't have to be a magician. An illusion? You decide.
so that you're
That's
confused
cool,
as to
though.
what fushigi even is or what it does.
Fushigi, like, I don't know what it is, but it's the coolest thing ever, and I can do it.
Because what it actually does is nothing, on its own at least. Fushigi is a ball made for contact juggling, and you don't need a Fushigi branded ball to contact juggle, but you do need years of practice to master it, which is the exact opposite of what Fushigi claims many times over in the ad.
Young or old, big or small, anyone can fushigi from the minute they pick up the magic gravity ball. You can do this. Mystify, amaze, and confuse your friends in just minutes.
When you are well practiced, a typical acrylic ball can really look like it's floating, but it comes from a learned skill, not a $20 infomercial product. Curtis Connor has a video exploring more of the lies of fushigi, and this comment on that video from an actual contact juggler sums up its misleading advertising and further controversy. Okay, I swear that's it for infomercials that lie, for now. They're not exactly known for being overtly honest or reliable. But how about something more fun, with fun in the name? And it can... Did you hear that? It sounded vaguely locomotive. What? Okay, that was weird. But anyway, back to fun slides. The indoor carpet skates that glide, slide, ride, and cruise. And yes, those are all definitely different activities.
Nowhere to run, nowhere to ride. Now wherever there's carpet, blast off with fun slides.
This ad shows kids sliding around down carpet ramps across this little grind rail, and even racing, playing games, and dancing. And I have to say, it does look really fun and like it probably worked as advertised. But I think the real question for this one isn't, does it actually work, and is instead, is this safe? The infomercial does address that this might be a bit of a hazardous activity, including reminding kids to not try to fun slide down the stairs.
Fun slide all over, but walk down the stairs.
But overall, the safety mentions are pretty brief. There's actually more mention of how it's totally safe for the carpet, so that you don't have to worry about damage to your floor. Otherwise, kids can just keep on sliding around in open, empty rooms with no furniture. You know, how everyone keeps their house. I get it, it's implied you move furniture out of the way first, but I really wonder how many kids were too impatient to do that, strapping them on right away and fun sliding right into the coffee table. Even if you did manage to avoid injury, these still seem like they just wouldn't be very practical in most homes that are full of obstacles, but could still be fun and or dangerous in the right environment. But enough of the action and crazy activities. Some kids prefer quieter hobbies, like arts and crafts maybe. And I think no better infomercial craft item represents the 2000s more than...
Been to what? Been to who? Been to Roos!
Bendaroos are reusable wax-coated strings, described as amazing flexible building sticks, which lets them do, quote, almost anything. Shape, stick, draw, decorate, build, wrap, bugs. They do look pretty cool, but do we think they're really that versatile? Yes, it is a multi-purpose art medium, and it's great to encourage exploring creativity and using them in different ways. But no, sticking Bendaroos on a piece of paper doesn't exactly replace the function of crayons. There are also lots of examples in the ad of Bendaroos being used as essentially kid-friendly 3D printing sticks, but are they just waxy, glorified pipe cleaners? How practical would these things actually be in constructing a gorilla or giant snake? I can't prove anything, but I just have my doubts. Floam is another craft/toy with a gimmick that mainly revolves around sticking it on stuff. Well, that and rolling, molding, and covering, which are, unsurprisingly, all very similar activities. It comes in trendy neon colors and can stick to almost anything, like dollhouses, RC cars, pencils, and even the quintessential 2000s Razor scooter. And sure, clay also builds stuff and sticks to anything, but everyone knows that it's messy and hard to start, whatever that means. But Floam wasn't just for crafts, it was also especially advertised as being tactile, squishy, fun you can feel.
Squishy, stretchy, is fun you can feel.
Which, in a world before modern day slimes and fidget toys, made this look so appealing to me. I didn't really care about the decorating part, I just needed to touch it. And luckily I did get my hands on some Floam when I was a kid, and it was pretty fun to squish, I can't lie to you. Though I remember it drying out pretty quickly, and then it didn't squish no more. Even though that was apparently by design so that you could make your creations permanent, I feel like they need to pick a direction, sculpting or squishing. There were also plenty of craft products in the category I call markers but different, and blow pens are a prime example. They're technically just ordinary markers, but with a special attachment, when you blow into them, they become airbrushes, so you can get lightheaded while you color. There were also blendy pens, which came with a special fusion chamber that let you, well, blend the pens, mixing the ink together to make new colors and gradients. It's an interesting concept for a product because kids already do this all the time with regular markers, just by being careless. But blendy pens claimed that they would always return to their original color after blending. And of course, who could forget magic pens that change color or erase when activated with a special pen? See? Markers, but different. It's not that airbrush art and color-changing ink isn't cool, but these are all just so gimmicky. Normalize just picking up a different colored marker. I really was impressed by basically every infomercial I ever saw, even when it was something that I had no practical use for, like the topsy-turvy tomato planter. I don't even like tomatoes. But surprisingly, I only ever owned one TV-exclusive infomercial product for myself, and that was zoo books. Kids often go through really strong phases of liking things, which results in your horse girls or Greek mythology buffs, and zoo books were informative magazines marketed towards the animal and zoology kids. But I was not an animal fanatic, I was a chronically online girly.
Today looks like a good day for some mining.
Even as a child. I didn't really care about animals unless it was a Webkinz and could go into my computer, so I have no idea why this was the one infomercial hill I was ready to die on. Well, I say that I don't get it, but come on, look at the commercial.
Now your child can visit steamy jungles, grassy plains, and the dark depths of the oceans.
They're an experience. They come with a free tiger poster.
And the tiger poster.
They made learning look cool. So cool that I guess I successfully annoyed my mom enough to buy them for me, and it turns out they were just books with zoo animals in them. Go figure. I did try to read them, or half-heartedly flip through and just look at the pictures, but nonfiction books kind of put me to sleep. I felt guilty for losing interest as soon as I actually had a zoo book in my hands, but not guilty enough that I didn't just toss them in my closet and forget about it. Except I couldn't forget about it because Zoo Books was a subscription service. They kept sending more animal-themed educational literature to my house, and each time I had to put on a performance in front of my mom like, wow, the dolphins and porpoises issue, I'm so excited. But in truth, I probably never read a single issue in full. Sorry to my mom, who is watching, and let this be my official review if you were also desperate for zoo books as a kid. They were just alright. I did also own a pillow pet, though I often forget that they started as an infomercial product. They apparently infomercialed so well that they were very quickly sold in stores instead of exclusively through TV. So by 2010, everyone I knew had one. I have an older video talking about the concept of stuffed animals that double as pillows that goes into more detail about why these things were so appealing, but honestly, it all comes down to the key infomercial product component, the gimmick. They of course look really cute, but watching these things flip open over and over again is what really sold it for me personally. It's a pillow and a pet, just like they say in the jingle. Jingles are also pretty important in making a good infomercial. If you include one, it has to be catchy and memorable, and there's that sound again. But that's not a jingle, it just sounds like a train, and chanting? Oh no, it's coming.
Here's how you can order.
This is the infamous Lionel Coin Bank. If you couldn't tell from its very unique intro, that might not technically be a song, but that definitely still sticks with you. I don't know whose idea it was to have a bunch of kids rhythmically chant the product name in monotone, worshipping the Lionel Coin Bank and urging you to feed it with your coins.
A lot more fun.
Save your money, save your money.
Or save your money. But coin bank cult aside, this was an infomercial that ditched the totally epic voiceover guy trope of other toy ads and took a simpler approach, calmly explaining over rustic country music that it's a collector's piece for train lovers.
Trains harken back to a simpler time in American history, a time of greatness, a time of ingenuity. We'll celebrate those times with the Lionel Train Crossing Bank.
It makes you feel nostalgic, patriotic, and the kids are chanting again. I want to say I don't know what the advertisers were thinking, but clearly it got the job done in being remembered even over a decade later, just maybe for the wrong reasons. The Betty Crocker Bacon Fill is yet another very iconic infomercial of the 2000s, and it truly mesmerized me, even more than zoo books, honestly. After all, it's
the most exciting thing you can do with the inside of a cake.
Which is such a weirdly specific claim that, yeah, I don't know, they were probably right. The Betty Crocker Bacon Fill has a pretty self-explanatory name: Betty, Bake, and Fill. It's never been easier to ruin a cake with fruit, bake your own baseball, or to set your whole cake on fire. The novelty of this product is so strong. The insides of all the cakes are exciting, and I've never seen a cake look so good inside and out.
I don't like
I don't know if it's movie magic or just that this footage is so dated and fuzzy, but the cakes in this ad look so dreamy. That flowery intro cake from the beginning, so washed out, yet so elegant. Or the way this lady does a little technique so it makes that fancy pattern on the frosting. And don't get me started on this mystery pink substance they use as a filling in the demo. It's probably just like pudding or something, but it looks like tubby custard and I want to eat it so bad. Oh, yeah, and the actual pans and stuff look cool, too. This might seem like a weird one-off product, but Betty Crocker started a filling-based bakeware revolution, at least as far as other baking infomercials went. Along with an official bacon fill variant for bundt cakes, there was also Big Top Cupcake. The main gimmick here was that it was a cupcake, but big. And honestly, I'm very put off by the cake to frosting ratio that this thing provides, but it also came with an insert so you could put a filling on the inside to make a filled up Big Top Cupcake. This ad also has a great example of another infomercial trope I love, where they compare their product to something else that does the exact same thing. Just fully admitting that this is not new or inventive, but it is cheaper. So you should forget we even told you that there's an alternative because ours is clearly better. Just look at how excited this kid is.
Wow.
Big Top Cupcake itself also had a sister product called the Big Top Donut that, guess what, you can also fill with tubby custard. Or regular donut fillings, if you want, I don't know. And since we've got big filled up cupcakes, we've gotta have regular size filled up cupcakes with perfect cupcake. Sure, this infomercial might have the most obnoxious voiceover I've ever heard.
Perfect Cupcake's exclusive sweet stick suspends your candy while it bakes, so each cupcake comes out picture perfect.
But also...
It's awesome! There's a cherry inside!
Okay, actually, now we're taking it too far. If I found a cherry in the middle of my cupcake, I would not be pleasantly surprised. Not everything needs a filling. Stop it.
True.
Get some help. But that seems to be where the filling-based bakeware ends. While you could fill a brownie with anything, Perfect Brownie was designed to cut your brownies before you bake them, so you can bake, slice, and serve. They really put a lot of emphasis on this serve part. Half of the infomercial is them pushing the bottom out of the pan on the special rack, like, look, now everyone can grab them and stuff. The other half is them putting various other types of desserts besides brownies in the pan to show its versatility, even though it does the same thing every time, no matter what dessert is in it. I guess it does make the whole process slightly more convenient, but it apparently also turns every brownie into an edge piece.
Oh no! Someone ate all the edges again! The solution? This patent-pending design which bakes each brownie separately!
And implies that that's the best part, so I'm officially rescinding my approval. The neurodivergence in me does not like any kind of crunch to my baked goods. Ugh. I know that's apparently a hot take or whatever, so now is the official complain about brownies segment of the video. Go ahead and type your strong opinions about middle versus edge pieces now. I'll wait. If you're not much of a baker but still want something sweet, there was the original chocolate factory.
Introducing the original chocolate factory, the fun, easy way to turn ordinary into extraordinary desserts.
That also really had me in a chokehold by making all the chocolate look so good. Look at that dunk.
Oh my God.
It's just a graham cracker dipped in chocolate, but I'm still convinced to this day that it would be the best thing I've ever eaten. Despite the name, this product isn't so much of a factory as much as it's just a double boiler. It doesn't even come with chocolate, you have to buy that yourself. But the infomercial really highlights all the things you can do with the chocolate after it's melted, like dip, dunk, fill, and pour. Why does the chocolate look so good after being poured into molds or put on a stick? Why do I not even want to eat it so much as I want to wrap it in the special wrappers they include and make a gift basket? And you're telling me I can put caramel or cheese into this thing too? I'm going on an all-liquid diet. Baking and melting utensils are great for when you want to add some style to your desserts. But what if you want to add in some style to your hair? Enter the InStyler. Flat ironing your hair basically every waking day of your life was very on trend in the 2000s. Bone straight and heat damaged was pretty much the only hairstyle, and we liked it that way, I guess. But the InStyler didn't just straighten. It could also flip, curl, add volume, and this. Whatever that little piece is doing. It's got bristles, it rotates, it's futuristic. The rotating part was the InStyler's main selling point, promoting healthier and shinier hair compared to typical flat-ironed hair. Even though it wasn't and still isn't that hard to use a regular hair straightener, it would only look this bumpy and crispy if you used it like a dummy from an infomercial. Especially since, again, hair straightening was a daily chore for most people, and they knew their way around it. Not to mention that regular flat irons can also curl your hair if used in a certain way, and so can a curling iron. The InStyler was essentially the Dyson Airwrap of the 2000s. You could probably get similar results by just using something similar, but you wouldn't look nearly as cool without it. What if you did want bumpy hair though? Only this time, we're not talking infomercial dummy bumpy, we're talking bump it bumpy. It puts a giant bump in your hair.
Just look at the difference. Amazing!
Every time I revisit this ad, all of these insane hairstyles never fail to shock me. It's not just that they're huge and weird, but that they're trying to pass them off as being super trendy.
Imagine being able to create today's hottest hairstyles in seconds. Perfect style and volume every time.
I may just be a humble, nostalgic YouTuber, but I was there in the 2000s and 2010s, and I can pretty confidently say that no one was regularly wearing their hair this large and bulbous. Unless you count Scene Kids, Amy Winehouse, or the Long Island Medium, which I doubt were using bumpets anyway. And honestly, it doesn't seem like this weird piece of plastic just sitting on top of your head would be able to withstand the force of dancing to G6 in the club, so would it even really be worth it? If you really wanted both function and fashion, there was always the one and only Snuggie.
Blankets are okay, but they can slip and slide. And when you need to reach for something, your hands are trapped inside. Now, there's the Snuggie, the blanket that has sleeves.
While not a beauty product by definition or use, it's still sure to add some flair when you're lying on that chair. See, I rhymed like the infomercial guys do. This blanket with sleeves was advertised as combining practicality with comfort, keeping conveniently cozy while doing everyday tasks like talking on the phone, knitting, or watching TV.
This
Clearly,
is the last
I've
one.
got a pretty strong 2000s bias, but I still swear that the Snuggie has to be one of the most infamous infomercial products of all time. And not because the ad was full of lies, tubby custard, or children chanting, but because the thing itself just looked so dumb. The most common critique you'd hear about the Snuggie circa 2009 is that it's essentially just a long backwards bathrobe and that you'll look really silly while wearing it. How hard is it really to just take your hands out from under a regular blanket or to maybe wear a sweater? Certainly not as hard as this infomercial made it seem, but for some reason, this was one of those cases where the rage bait really did its job. I think most people did think that Snuggies looked stupid, but it was so stupid that they couldn't help but buy one just to try it. And whether you were wearing your Snuggie ironically...
Okay, why did I look at this and just see Frieza?
sincerely, or to eat breakfast in every morning before middle school, like me, it was still contributing to sales, so pretty quickly, they were everywhere. There were Snuggies in new colors, new designer patterns, new... whatever this one is. Snuggies for your kid, Snuggies for your dog, college-themed variants with hoodie pockets, tail-shaped variants for tail activities, officially licensed Weezer variants as promotional material for their album Ratitude. Yes, this was real. Snuggie, if you're listening, I would love to make a branded Dream Jelly Snuggie of my own. Please, thank you. Then they got a little shameless with the rage bait. The first Snuggie ads stuck to showing people lounging, but also included people wearing them like clothing while out camping or to a baseball game. Additional commercials later showed way more Snuggie users standing up and moving around, and then came the Snuggies with cuffed sleeves and belts to hold it together. Forget backwards bathrobe, this is just a maxi dress at this point. And, okay, look, they're even doing the freaking Macarena in this one.
So many brand new styles for the Snuggie.
What the hell?
They were trolling us, but you can't help but love it. Or, at the very least, respect the hustle. When it comes to infomercial infamy, sometimes it's not the product itself that's all that infamous, as much as it's the guy that sells it. Yes, it's finally time to talk about the infamous... Oh, okay, I already said infamous. Let's use a little infomercial synonym magic here. Ooh, okay, that's good. The legendary pitchmen of the 2000s infomercial scene, from their pitched products to their riveting rivalry, Billy Mays versus Vince Offer. Billy Mays had a history as a salesman and appeared in TV infomercials throughout the 80s.
Hi, I'm Billy Mays. I'm going to show you how to make water go uphill.
But he didn't become a well-known pitchman until 1998 through his first commercial with OxyClean. In this demo, he starts off calm and pretty mild-mannered, but soon he kicks into gear, and you can see where Billy ends and the pitch begins.
So say hello to cleaning expert Billy Mays.
Hi, Kara. Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody.
So what makes OxyClean so different from typical household cleaners?
Well, first of all, these have all the chemicals, all the caustics, all the ammonia. See, if you have family members with allergies or sinus problems, you can't work in tight areas. In fact, some of them, it says you gotta leave the room. You can even hear the crackling. Look at it pulling oxygen out of the air. It's oxygen bubbles. The oxygen crystals are working. See, it's the cleaner that works, so you don't have to.
He's loud, he's urgent, he uses a lot of hand gestures, and this is exactly what made him memorable. He continued shouting about OxyClean into the 2000s, but instead of being annoyed by it, people liked it. It also helped that the demo itself was pretty convincing, with the bowl of water and pouring stuff onto little squares of carpet. I'd never cleaned a carpet before at the age of 8, but Mr. Mays here was really making me feel like I needed to, just to experience the stain-fighting joys of OxyClean for myself. Even if some people didn't like his pitch style, it still definitely got stuck in their heads. The millions of views on some of his ads posted to YouTube are proof of it. Who spends their leisure time willingly not just being advertised to, but shout advertised to? People who recognize talent. That's who. Soon enough, Billy Mays wasn't just pitching OxyClean, but all kinds of stuff. The Samurai Shark, the Steam Buddy, Mighty Putty, Mighty Mended, Kaboom, Big City Sliders, the list goes on. And since he always made sure to introduce himself,
Hi, Billy Mays here for the Slider Station.
he became a household name and figure in pop culture. There were Billy Mays meet and greets, Billy Mays on The Tonight Show, Billy Mays parodies, from South Park to official cameos with major networks.
Have you ever tried to get stains out with an ordinary cleaner?
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. It is tough.
Try OxyClean. Hey, we all make mistakes. That's what you told those Yakuza businessmen, but they did not want to hear it.
He even landed his own TV series in 2009 called Pitchmen, which was essentially Shark Tank but for infomercial product pitches. Anthony Sullivan featured alongside Billy, who I used to think was his OxyClean Pitchman rival, but it turns out he was actually his OxyClean buddy. How cute. The grind never stopped. He was the king of infomercials. No one was doing it like him. And so, someone else came along and did it differently. Enter...
Hi, it's Vince with ShamWow.
Vince Offer, better known as the ShamWow guy. The first infomercial for the ShamWow aired circa 2007, and the game was changed. It had cola.
Here's some cola.
It had ASMR.
Doesn't make a mess. Bring it out.
It had sass.
50% of the cola right there. You follow me, camera guy? You're gonna spend $20 every month on paper towels anyway. You're throwing your money away.
Vince wasn't just different from Billy Mays, he was different from pretty much every other pitchman and infomercial out there.
I remember
and
this guy's face.
It also helped that he was selling a product that had a very convincing demo. I wanted to be saying wow every time too.
You'll be saying wow every time you use this towel.
From that point forward, it was the battle of the pitchmen. Billy Mays advertised the Quick Chop, and a bit later, Vince came back with the Slap Chop. The ShamWow gets popular, and Billy Mays fires back with Zorbies.
He made the
Team
Slap
Edward
Chop.
and
I've
Team
seen that
Jacob
one
of
before.
infomercials, and every consumer was Bella. That might sound like a dumb analogy, but this was literally 2008, okay? Twilight had just come out and was peak pop culture. Team Billy had the volume, the smiles, the iconic blue shirt. But Team Vince had the passive aggression, the weird innuendos.
You're gonna love my nuts.
And the M&M collab. How could you possibly choose between them? I really remembered this saga as a heated competition, but while making this video, I started to wonder if maybe I had just been watching too much TV and it was all in my head. Vince Offer even stated himself in a 2009 interview that he thought Billy Mays was good at his job, and despite the comparisons, he wasn't trying to be like him or outshine him. But then, I stumbled across the Washmatic, an older infomercial of Billy's from 1989. At first, I just thought it was interesting that he wasn't shouting, and was still wearing a blue shirt, even back then. But then, he introduces the Washmatics-free bonus product, the Super Chamois. And it's an earlier, almost exact one-to-one of the ShamWow ad. Sliding it weirdly across a black table, pouring Coke onto a little square of carpet, and wringing it out specifically into a glass pie dish. Although Vince is the owner of ShamWow, it's no secret that he didn't invent the material that it's made of. But I just found it so interesting that while he apparently wasn't trying to be like Billy, he still recreated Billy's entire demo when selling his own version of the product. And what did Billy think of all this? He did make a few comments on his Pitchmen series that add a little fuel to the implied rivalry.
Maybe you should use a ShamWow.
You get a ShamPow. I don't care if you're a mayor or state legislator, I'll give you a noogie, then a ShamPow.
But he didn't otherwise publicly criticize Vince from what I could find. Vince also claimed in that same 2009 interview that he didn't want to be like Billy because his real career was in the film industry, alluding to his 1999 film, The Underground Comedy Movie. It has terrible ratings, and maybe from the cover and this list of some of its scenes, you can understand why. So, since he wasn't seeing the most success from his movie, it made sense that he wouldn't just become a pitchman for the money, but to use the infomercials as a vessel for his special brand of comedy. If you thought You're Gonna Love My Nuts was raunchy, some of his later ads for the Crank Chop, Quickie, or Sticky were much worse.
Vegetables or stir fry? Oh, me so hungry.
Problem with that shedding pussy? Pick up cat hairs from clothes.
Hey, lady, want a quickie?
What? I'd like a quickie.
I got what you need.
Whoa,
and there's even more unfortunate lore to Vince, including his 2009 arrest, another critically panned, terrible movie, selling ShamWow branded masks during COVID, and incessant bigotry disguised as comedy that he's still using his expired relevance as the ShamWow guy to promote. But I'm not gonna get into all of that. Really, don't even bother watching his stuff out of curiosity. These thumbnails tell you everything you need to know. So, what does all of this mean? Kinda nothing, I guess. So the ShamWow guy probably really was after Billy Mays' fame. Or at least after fame in general. Who would have guessed? Since it's not 2009 anymore, this isn't only old news, but I don't think anyone cares anymore. Except me. And all the other infomercial consuming, big bouncing inflatable green ball loving, Zoo Books regretting TV watchers from the 2000s out there. It matters to us. As for Billy Mays, he sadly passed away in 2009, and although that wasn't the immediate end of infomercials, it still seemed to mark a turning point in the industry and the beginning of their eventual decline. As cable has become less and less popular over the years, infomercials aired through cable channels have also become a less viable method of advertising. And those that are still produced are just missing that specific formula that could really only spawn from having an oversaturation of ads that were all trying to compete with each other. I personally just think it feels weird to watch a modern infomercial that isn't in 480p. I want my fuzzy desaturated cakes back. While infomercials still exist now, just like they did before the start of the millennium, either side arguably still stands unmatched to that whimsical, wacky, and weird bygone era of 2000s TV. Hi, welcome to Jelly TV, where I shout out a video that I think deserves some love. I recommend watching the complete lore of Miss Spider's Sunny Patch Friends by Miranda Peach. On today's episode of Deep Dives I Didn't Know I Needed, nor that I would love so much, Miranda takes us on a journey through the artistic history and lore of this old kid show from the 2000s that actually still holds up and is really interesting. She's not just thorough and informative, but funny and charming, so you should check out this video and the rest of Miranda's channel. A huge thank you to Daniel E. from ABQ,